Hey everybody, welcome to our very first Oconee Captains podcast. I'm Captain Doug. This is Captain Jody Stevens, Captain Kevin Alexander, and they're all captains. Hey, how hard was that test, really?
Well, I'm also a PGA professional and stuff, and it made that look like kindergarten. So it's
It made the PGA thing, really?
oh yeah.
It was easier than, so I could be a club pro is what you're saying.
No, because you've got no game. you got no game, but it's you're talking about.
Well, you have seen me play.
Yeah, well, yeah, you showed up with a set of blades one time. So
Let's talk about this Sugar Creek Marina. They are our number one marina where we buy all of our equipment. William and Mike do a really great job. Everything that we're going to talk about here today, for the next few minutes, you can get it all at Sugar Creek. We're going to talk about spoons and hooks and terminal tackle and things like that. So, they carry G. Loomis rods now. I didn't even know that. Did y'all know that?
Mm-hmm.
I went in there the other day and William was like, they've been here for 2 years. I've just never noticed them, I guess. But Costa sunglasses, G. Loomis rods, Shimano reel. Really cool fishing wear now. Some of these shirts that you see right here for our fishing derby. We'll talk about that at the very end here. He's going to carry a few of those. And so check them out on Facebook. And Sugar Creek Marina, they're great. All right, it's January. The lake is a mud hole.
My least favorite time of the year.
God, we have had, did you see the news where it said this is the second record year of rainfall that we've ever had in the history of Georgia?
We've got
something inches, right?
yeah,
crazy.
When you combine, I think they talked about Portland, Seattle, and wherever else, combined, we've got them beat.
The mud has come around Tornado Point. It's really in Richland Creek now.
It is.
Street stained.
It is, yeah.
And I guess probably just talk about stripers first. All the every striper in the lake looks like they're piled down there at the confluence of Richland and Oconee and Appalachia. It's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
I remember like was it 15 when we had all the rain? And
Yeah, I think we had 29 inches of rain in December of 15, I think. And I'm talking so much rain that it was like boiling out of my septic tank lines because it was coming in faster than it was going out. It was nuts, but we had to fish Richland a lot during that time, and it was still as most stained I've ever seen. And it's not quite that bad because we haven't had the downpours really.
Yeah, it seemed like it's not as muddy as it was.
But 2 weeks ago Saturday it was clear. A week ago it was fairly stained, but the fish are still there because they got to go somewhere, But down there, some caught a few on spoons, not many. There's a lot of guys trolling with big motors out there, rattle traps and small A-rigs and mini Macs and things like that. But live shiners on free lines with a number 4 split shot behind the boat, at 0.8 to 1.1 is the ticket.
There's a lot of people think we are crazy for using these size of hooks, but I brought some today. They're you can get these at Sugar Creek. They're Gamakatsu number 2s, and I'm going to show you. They are like so tiny, and I have caught 12 and 13 pound stripers on them. It's a little tiny circle hook. Looks big there, but I think the reason that and there's a long story I can tell you about me using these, and I kind of got to credit Mike Harrelson for doing this. He called me one day and he said, "Hey, what size hooks do we use?" And I told him like 1s and 2/0, and he picked up like 2s and was like slamming the fish. He was out there on the boat all by himself, had 4 lines out. I had a boat full of customers, and we were like crossing, and he was pulling up 2 fish at a time. We couldn't get a bite, and he was like, "Y'all got the best guide in the world on the boat," and they're like, I don't think they believe that. And so I'm asking him, I'm like, "What are you using?" He goes, "I'm using the same stuff that you told me last night." And I'm like, "That's impossible." So I finally pulled over on this boat, got these, and I saw how tiny these hooks were. And I'm like, "Dude, I told you like 1/0, 2/0, and you got 2s. He goes, "I thought that's what you said." It was all the difference in the world in hooking those bass shiners up. Because the 1/0, I knew I never would believe it, but they won't bite it. But when you use those little ones,
Yeah, I mean, it's
flat lines and
hiding the hook.
yeah.
Hiding the hook.
And your leader too.
Yeah, what size leader y'all use when you flatlining like that? How long is the leader?
5, 6 feet.
Yeah,
at
Five or
least.
six.
Yeah.
Minimal.
And fluorocarbon.
Yeah, and I'm
10,
anal
12
about that.
pounds.
As muddy as it is, you wouldn't think you need to use any fluorocarbon, but I'm kind of anal about that, and I do it anyway, just because it's what I'm supposed to do. But yeah, I always pull my leader out like the distance of how far I can spread my arms and what size split shot? I'm not into the crappie fish as much as y'all are, but what is the size split shot y'all using? What's the number?
I'm using number 4.
Yeah.
You know, but now.
So it's the size of a what? A buckshot or a?
No, I mean it's the size of a. I mean about the head. It's about the size of a 16th ounce jig
Okay.
head. You know, round jig head, something like that. And now but here's the big question: is that, you know, I mean, I'll line counter reel or I'll do some spinning reels and stuff, and I may be 50 to 80 feet behind the boat, ballpark, whatever like that. Well, you're pulling those things along at 0.8, you know, 1 mile, you know.
Half a mile an hour. Yeah.
Are you know, is that bass shiner up there? Is he at 4 feet and they're getting crazy, or is he at 8 feet? You know, you just don't know. I do know this though, that for some reason they're on the the flat line bite. I caught one fish on a down line the other day, and you think that you would hammer them because they're just so thick under your boat and stuff like that, but they want that bait flat and moving a little bit, you know, and stuff. And so it's they're a finicky bunch.
Yeah, if you go out there right now and if you'll just look for the seagulls, they'll kind of tell you where the bait is, and it's like loaded. I was out with a friend named Robert fishing the other day, and we had down lines and flat lines, and I think most all the bites come on the flats too. Another thing that we use during this time, speaking of the seagulls, is this really cute little thing right here. You can get this at Sugar Creek too. It's and what I like about this, the reason I think this bait is a lot better. This is a Berkeley ripple shad. Sassy shad works just as good, but if you'll look, it's the DOA head. It's a real short shank on this hook. And I think that enables, another story about that is years ago when my buddy George Cox was alive, we would fish in a tail race a lot. I don't know if you ever heard this one, but I was at Half Hitch Tackle in Panama City, and they had these, like one pack of them for like $1. And I thought, well, I'm always using these kind of little jig heads anyway. So I bought a pack. We're down at the tail race, and George, the fish were there. We were outside the barrels, and he said, "Let me throw like an artificial." So we grabbed a sassy shad. Not this. This is a ripple shad, but grabbed a sassy shad. I opened the pack of these things, and I'm kidding you. Put the 3-inch sassy shad on, threw in the surf, and George caught. Boom! First cast, caught a fish. Nice hybrid. And so he's like, "I got one." So I'm messing around. For some reason, I open my box and I pull out it'd be like a regular saltwater head, but it had a longer shank on it. And I hooked that 3-inch sassy shad through there. He was catching a fish. Every cast, I was getting blanked. And I'm like, what? And okay, I'm a better fisherman than you are and all this bull. And so finally I just said, and I realized that the shank on these things are so much shorter. It gives more tail action. And so I put one of these on, started catching them every cast.
Oh yeah.
So when we see the birds and everything, we will take these, and the ripple shad seem to work pretty good. They like them here on Oconee, but a 3-inch sassy shad works. One more thing about the stripers, the spoon. I'm kind of notorious for this, and I got to give credit to a couple of my friends down in Cochran, Georgia, who got me actually fishing on these things. But these they're War Eagle, and all this stuff you can get at Sugar Creek. War Eagle, and since I'm a guide, you know, I'd like to fish Hopkins spoons all the time, but they're so expensive, and the hooks are just junk on them, and you got to put a new hook on them, and you need to put a split ring on them. So for customers, it seems like these work just as well.
They're what, $5.49, $5.99 for a 2-pack?
Yeah, for a 2-pack of these, and I think a Hopkins is what, like $6 or $7?
For one.
Yeah, for one.
Yeah.
And they're made of brass or stainless or something. They're supposed to float better, or flutter better. I don't know, but anyhow, like we said, the base of sugar, the base of the confluence of Richland and the Oconee, right down there at the dam. You can actually see the dam where the fish are at. All right, tell me about crappie fishing. I can't wait. The long poles on the garage wall are crying out to me, but y'all are catching them now. But you got you don't have your long poles out. How you doing it, Kevin? How you caught it like a cooler box full on the other day?
2 days ago, and I hadn't been on the lake in a few weeks because of the rain, and fished mid-lake, mouth of coves, and caught 40, 45, kept 20 good ones. Just a lot of trash in the water. I mean, that's makes it difficult trying to troll, but
Or what's your setup? What were you doing?
long lining, double 16ths, about 0.9, blue, black chartreuse, any dark color, solid black if you got it.
Really?
Yeah,
So it didn't matter if the tail was
black
chartreuse.
heads. Yeah, I mean chartreuse tail, but ruby motor oil was good. It's just got to have a dark color right now with the mud in the lake.
So that silly color that you fish at, America color, red, white, and blue. You don't use it.
Trump-delicious.
Donald Trump. Yeah.
Them goofy looking. Man, I need to ask you something seriously. I know this is probably a crazy place to ask it, but all my life as a kid, when we fished jigs, you always tie the heavy one on the longest line, the light one on the top line. And when you tied up a bunch for me one day, and by the way, Jody's he was slamming a crappie. You tied the heavy one on top. Mm-hmm. Now, don't you think that kind of like if the heavy one's on top and the light one's on bottom, don't you think it kind of makes them all run together or the same depth? Who told you to do that?
I don't know. I mean, that's just the way it's done, really. I mean, for the most part.
No, I've never seen it done like that before.
Well, but you ain't from around here. Well, that's that South Georgia way. Or something.
I don't know what it is, but it's goofy.
But technically speaking, and I'm gonna use these now. These are not what I'm pulling, and there's another story behind this. But these are a couple Jiffy jigs we'll talk about in a minute. But let's just say these are two different weights, okay? Mm-hmm. And this is a 16th, and this is a 32nd or something like that, 1/32. The 16th will go up front, up the line.
Heavier jig
the heavier jig up front, the lighter jig on the bottom. So, technically, you'd think it'd run through the water kind of crazy, but it actually runs through the water like this.
Yeah, I would think so.
It's that heavier one's pulling down on the line, and it separates the line of the front from the rear, so it's not going to get tangled up, particularly in twisty tails and stuff. Mm-hmm. But also, this top one will float up. And, people say that, you're covering two different water columns. Well, you ain't covering that much of difference, but it's just the presentation thing. And now, I'm not saying that you can't go out there and put a heavier jig on the bottom and a lighter jig on the top.
No, I'm saying you can't because I tried it and it don't work.
Well, but also, too, you understand that, based on several factors. The diameter of your line, the length that you throw it out behind the boat, the distance the rod tip is from the water, your general boat setup, the type of line you're using and stuff like that, as far as the diameter and all that sort of stuff, whether it be 4 pound or 6 pound, all that comes into play on how deep those jigs are running.
Yeah. So what line diameter do you use? 6 pound?
Well, I mean this 6 pound Mr. Crappie. This is 4 because we talk about dock shooting here in a minute or whatever. But this is 4 pound. But 6 pound Mr. Crappie made by Lew's. Once again available at Sugar Creek. It is the most durable high vis trolling line I've ever used. I've tried some different things or whatnot. We've caught 10 and 12 pound stripers on these on this stuff, 6 pound pulling, that sort of thing. But anyway, once you find the kind of line you like to use, make sure that all your rods are the same, your line diameters are the same. People say, how far do you fish behind the boat? I don't know. I throw it out there as far as I can throw it and maybe let out a little bit more line, put it in the rod holder. The most important thing you can do on figuring that stuff out for yourself is to do it on your boat, under your conditions, and all that sort of stuff, because everything's got to be equal. Now, the other day I had a buddy of mine in the boat, and I had this chart. He says, what's that? And I said, well, that's my depth chart. He says, well, what do you mean? He says, can I get one of those? I'm like, you can for your boat if you do it. What it was is I went out after I got done working on the boat, and it was a nice afternoon, and I wanted to recheck some things. I tied on doubles, okay? heavier combination and a little lighter and a little lighter and a little lighter and a little lighter. And I went through a cove with no trash and stuff like that, and I marked on my waypoints on my trail, this water's 12 feet, this water's 10, this is 8, and this is 6, and this is 4. I went back and I started pulling. When that heaviest jig started bumping the bottom, I looked, I'm in X amount of water, write it down. Next one, write it down, write it down, write it down, write it down. That way you know, within reason, a foot, 6 inches, something like that, how deep those jigs are going. They don't bite down, crappie always bite up. So you better know how deep you're pulling based on your boat, your setup, your line diameter, the types of jigs you like to use, whether you use round heads or minnow heads.
He's right, because he always pulled round heads and I'd pull minnow heads, and I'd be right behind him, and Jody's catching all these fish, and I might get one or two, and I'm like, what are you doing, Jody? What are you pulling? And I was pulling the same weights he was, but I had minnow heads, and mine were probably running a little deeper because they're a little more streamlined.
Yep.
We all fish Jiffy jigs. Now, next month, on our next podcast, in 1st of February, we're going to talk about our tournament that's coming up. And we're really excited about that. But we're also going to be talking about pushing, and that's kind of what my thing is. I really enjoy doing that. But dock shooting, that's going on right now?
Yeah, I mean, you could do it a little bit. I got 2 buddies of mine that fish the lake a lot that are really, really good at it. They shall remain anonymous.
Yeah, but they think they're going to win this whole
Yeah.
tournament crappie
Yeah, we
thing
won't.
this year. And it's very possible that they will.
We won't talk about it too much. But as far as dock shooting, once again, and I don't do it a whole lot because my boat's not set up for it. But if you've got a small 6-steer boat, as a play boat like yours, or a couple of these guys that I know they've got fiberglass 6-steer boats that are just awesome. You're down there really low to the water, that sort of stuff. 4-pound high vis line, Suffolk or Mr. Crappie, whatever you like. Jiffy jigs, or Ricky Willis makes some great sugar bugs, whatever your personal preference is. I like a 1/24 ounce because, once again, it's heavy enough to be able to shoot up underneath the dock and stuff, but also has a slow enough rate of descent to keep it in the water column bite longer and stuff. High vis line, if you see it twitch, move, jump, set the hook. When in doubt, set the hook, because you may not feel that fish, sucking them in. Basic setup is a 5 foot, 6 foot, preferably one piece, good quality rod. Because you're bowing that thing over and you don't want it to snap in the middle and stuff like that. But, probably main channel docks right now, anything that's going to be, absorbing a little bit more heat and stuff. Water temperature's cold. It's in the upper 40s or so, so that a little bit of heat in the afternoon may get those fish a little bit more active and stuff like that, and then dark colors. But I've seen these guys in the spring when we're pushing and stuff and we're fishing super shallow stuff, they'll take a 120 or a 132nd ounce jig head and put it on a bigger body and shoot it up under docks that have 2 feet of water in it, okay, like just nothing, and pull out pigs, because once again, if you can get it up underneath there and it just slowly falls.
There's a place where we fish at up in Sugar Creek. When we fish up on the north side of Sugar Creek, when go up past the timber and then the actual Sugar Creek itself. And a friend of mine told me the other day that on a particular dock up there, and I know which one he's talking about, and I'm not going to really share because he may not want me to. He said they went up there in the spring one time and pulled 100 fish out from under a dock up there, and he said it was only like you said, 2.5, 3 foot of water. He said they just kept there and just kept shooting the dock, pulling big fish out. Can you imagine that? Now that's something I've never really done. We'll do it this year because I got that little new boat. But we're gonna have to hook up with our buddies and.
It's fun. Kevin, you don't get to do it much, do you?
No.
Yeah.
I'd like to.
Honest to God, I do it maybe once or twice a year, only because I'm so busy with my guide service. But just jumping in the boat with these guys, and having the right boat obviously is a big issue.
And like he said, right boat, and some of these docks on the lake, you've got 3 inches or less to get up under them. So, you got to have something low to the water.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I had that little jet boat out the Richland side. If you put in an Armor Bridge and you go toward the Ritz, there's a dock there. It's got a really white flagpole. It's just the flagpole's right on the edge, and it's white. They keep it painted. And I pulled up there one day and I saw bass under. The water was really clear, and I was out there shooting docks. I said, well, I'm just going to give this a whirl, and I shot up under there 4 times and had 4 bass break me off. and throw my junk in the bottom of the boat and left and said, I'm never doing this again.
Yeah, sometimes you'll catch something in that dock that surprises you. But now here's a trivia question for you. What's the best way to practice your jig shooting skills?
I've heard all kind of things, but someone said if you have a garage with a garage door, like open your garage door like just a few inches, sitting there on a bucket and then shoot them in. Another friend of mine said that, of course, he's not married, but he said he sits on his living room couch and he shoots out of the door frame of his bedroom.
Yeah, that wouldn't last.
I tried that a few times, didn't work out so good.
Yeah. But you're right. The sitting in your garage, cracking the garage door, or a buddy of mine will tell you that if you're sitting out in the driveway, take a cinder block and shoot it through the hole in the cinder block. Whatever, because it takes some skill, and you think, oh God, you're gonna hook your hand. Well, you're not. You hold it, pinch it, and the finger in the
You hold the head or the hook?
You hold you hold the head.
Yeah.
You hold the head, and then you just with your index finger and thumb, and it's gone. But it's funny now. God bless them. These guys guide a little bit and stuff like that. And I know some of the folks that they've taken on some of these dock shooting guide trips. And I'd like to be a fly on the wall on that one, because you just can't pick up a dock shooting rod and get good at it. Now, these two guys can teach you pretty darn quick how to do it, but it's still an acquired skill.
And you know what? We're going to have them on this podcast too, because they are a hoot. If we can get them to, if we can get the ninja and the slab slobber to be loose, we'll have a lot of fun here. All right, really quick, our 5th annual fishing derby starts next month. We're going to have 10 weekly prizes, and I've got a lot of interest on it. And basically what we're doing is we weigh in one fish. It's either a crappie or a striper. And we don't have a whole lot of striper tournaments on this lake. And it kind of started out as a charity event years ago, 5 years ago. But Van Stahl reels is going to be a prize. Humminbird Electronics, Barracuda cast net. We're going to have some really, really cool stuff. You guys are going to help me weigh in. And if anyone wants information about it, go to BigFishHeads.com. In the top left of your screen, just click on the icon there, and it'll take you to it. You can sign up right there online. You got to be signed up before opening day. After opening day, it's closed. The shirts that you see here, that's behind Kevin and Jody, are the shirts. When you sign up, you're going to get one of those, and there's all kind of cool stuff.
What's opening day again? It's
February 16th, I believe, is what opening day is. That's a
16th.
Saturday. Now, the first week, on the first week of prizes, it's going to run from Saturday, Sunday, and then through the next Sunday. But after that, it will just be from Saturday to Sunday. And I probably just made that sound real confusing. Yeah, February 16th. And so the first week is from the 16th to the 24th. Every weekly segment ends on a Sunday night. Of course, you start on Saturday. You don't have a one-day thing, and then after that, there'll be 10 weeks. Kevin.
Yeah, I was going to ask, what's the main prize for the winner, so I'll know what I'm getting this year?
Oh, that's a kiss of death right there.
How did a guy named Crappie Time win the striper event? And I mean, that's just
On the last day.
rigged.
On the last day.
On the last
Something like that,
day.
yeah.
4-year-old kid on my boat.
Yeah.
Now you want to talk about somebody nervous? That kid hooked that fish, and then Kevin saw that fish, and he's trying not to soil himself. When he come up out of the water,
pucker factor was in full play.
Don't lose him. Don't lose him.
Yeah,
I mean, he was.
That was a crazy day.
That was a pretty fish too, man.
And that was that the only fish you caught that day?
We caught 2 that day.
God.
You get a flat line on a bass shiner, and everybody's using shad.
You should get that taken away from you. That's just
Sounded like a
You
king
tell him
mackerel
bitter.
or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a beautiful fish. Kid had a big time, and
The kid got that fish mounted, didn't he?
I think they
Yeah.
said they were. I don't know.
hey, did y'all have anybody mount any fish from y'all last year? I had 2 guys mount crappie last year. Yeah,
I don't know.
it's pretty neat.
I don't know. Most of my guys are more interested in
Eating them.
yeah.
We're gonna have a good fish
Send,
fry.
as they say, a one-way trip to Lake Crisco.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they
In the
one
grease.
guy on there, he got on the boat and he was like, "Yeah, I caught some 3 pounds and 4 pounds," and he's just talking. We put the first first pound and a half crappie in the boat, and he's like, dude, that's the biggest crappie I ever caught. I'm going to mount him. How much does it weigh? I said, he's probably a pound and a half. He was like, what?
He's been using some of them special scales, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some of them Captain Greasy scales.
Sorry, it had to be said.
Again, remember our derby that starts next month, February 16th. Go to BigFishHeads.com if you want to enter it. We'd love for you to. It is a lot of fun. And we have weekly prizes, 10 weekly prizes that we're giving out. And then our overall prize at the end of the year. We had a big party last year at Jody's house. He was great. Him and his wife was gracious enough to let us do that. And I haven't asked him this year, but we're probably going to be there again.
Yeah, okay.
All right, let's close by saying this. What did we learn today, boys? And I'm going to start off. I learned that Kevin has spent $1 million on a wore-out Penn Senator. Look at that thing. It's got a sexy handle on it and everything. No, okay.
It kind of looks like one of those chime boxes
I mean-
little monkeys do in the fair. Is that
Yeah,
right?
that's right. He plays music.
Pop goes the
What do you plan on catching on Oconee with this?
The winning striper this year.
Well, I'll tell you, if
That-
you do that any trouble.
That's my Gulf of Mexico reel.
Seriously, did you learn anything today, Jody?
From you two goons?
What about you, Kevin? What did you learn today?
Well, I learned that you're using some kind of sexy hooks over
Yeah,
there.
see? Yeah.
Yeah, hey, just as a plug, we just got back from Louisiana, and one of us was using these, and somebody wasn't. Yeah, we won't talk about that.
All right, guys, be sure to turn in February 1st. It'll be our next podcast. We're on Vimeo, we're on YouTube, and we're on all these guys' website. When I introduced them, you saw their website. Go check them all out. And we had a ball. Hope you enjoyed it. Like us, comment on Facebook if you like, and tell us, how that we all need to do a better job. Thanks. We'll see you next month. Bye.
We done?